can't believe I'm still talking about this, but okay, so I've mentioned before in a previous video that, you know, all those guys who get so offended when you're cautious around them because you're afraid of getting raped or sexually assaulted, they get all insulted and all this other stuff. And I've explained that while the probability isn't, like, certain, it's still decently high, but the consequences, if, you know, like, the consequences are extremely high. And people still don't get it, so I'm going to put an analogy that maybe you'll understand. So, when it comes to children, you don't want them hanging out with strangers. You don't want them to talk, you know, because, you know, the whole stranger danger, you know, it might be a pedophile who's going to molest or rape or kill your child. So, you're not going to have a child go hang out with an adult stranger for that reason. Even though the probability of a stranger adult being a pedophile or a rapist is significantly lower, like substantially lower, than the chance that the random guy you're meeting at a party will take advantage of you. Nobody questions it when you're really cautious around stranger adults and you're being around your child. In fact, it's far more common that someone that you know and trust is going to molest your child than an absolute stranger. Yet we do not let our children hang out with strange adults that we don't know. But when a girl exerts the same caution and she has a much higher chance of, you know, something bad happening, people are like, oh man, you know, guys are cool and all this other stuff. Things is like the girl doesn't know if you're cool or not. She can't tell. And trust me, people who I thought were cool and they seemed fine, and then I was trusting around them, they tried to do shit with me, and I've ended up getting raped and sexually assaulted, and I actually had to punch a guy because he wanted to do it again, to me again, and I didn't want it happening again. So, and I thought that guy was cool. He even hung out with him a few times, but it still happens, because we can't fucking tell, because assholes are gonna do this stuff. They seem like anyone else, so we have no way of knowing. And a girl has a 1 in 3 chance of getting raped or sexually assaulted. Do you see that? Like, that's a huge probability. It's safe. It's twice as safe. Like, it's I mean, you have twice you have half the chance of something bad happening playing Russian fucking roulette than fucking just trusting a guy you just met at a party. And it's like a 1 in 10 chance that a random stranger you meet on the street is gonna freaking hurt your child. Yep, we don't question the whole stranger danger. And I mean, like, children are terrified of adults, that they don't know, strangers. Like, I was babysitting one time, and before I scared 1 or 2 of them too much, we used to do this thing where I would tell them scary stories, and sometimes I'd let them help me, you know, create the story. So I'd say, who's the bad guy? And they'd be like, oh, strangers, or like they'd be naming monsters, or they would put strangers on the same level as things like vampires or ghosts or, you know, axe murderers or whatever. That's how terrified kids are of strangers. And I remember when I was a kid, like, I remember one time I accidentally, I went to go replace my mom's pickles because I grabbed the wrong kind, and I accidentally bumped into a lady who had the same color shirt and hair, and I just kind of grabbed the pickles she happened to have in her hand, and I was terrified for, like, weeks that I had talked with, or, like, I had come near a stranger without my mom being there. Like, kids are terrified of strangers, even though there's actually a very low chance of something actually happening. But if a girl exerts the same caution, and she has way more reason to have that caution, she's a total bitch, and, you know, it's like, oh, come on, I'm a nice guy, what are you talking about? I'm not a jerk, I'm not gonna molest you, I'm not gonna rape you, or whatever else. And it's like, we can't know that, though. Because the thing is that if we do trust you, and you turn out to be an asshole who doesn't stop when I say no, or just keeps going without me saying yes, then when we're trying to go, that guy fucking raped me, I was like, well, you know, you were nice to him, and you led him on, and stuff like this. We have to be a total bitch, and, like, be fighting and kicking and screaming during the rape, or else we have no sympathy. And even then, like, there have been examples of rapes being caught on fucking camera, and where the girl is unconscious, or screaming, or kicking, or begging them to stop. and they still don't go to jail for it, or they still have no punishment for it. And the girl is still blamed and still labeled as a slut for being raped. So, huge amount of consequence if we're wrong about you. I would rather be considered a misandrous or a bitch who hates men or something than have to deal with being raped again, because that seriously took a huge toll on my mental health, and I have self-harm scars because I've had depression for years, and I managed to not self-harm, but I felt so disgusting, and I just felt so awful and all this other stuff because I let this thing happen. It was my fault in my mind, because I was drunk and I was too embarrassed and I didn't really know what was going on and all this other stuff, and in my mind I let it happen because I wasn't careful enough, and it fucked me up so much for months, and I was afraid to be intimate with anyone for months, almost a year. Like, it fucked me up. I would rather have some stranger at a party think I'm a bitch than have to go through that again. Okay? So, I'm sorry, but you have to realize, you have to look at things from the girl's perspective. She's not trying to be a bitch. She's just trying to protect herself, because, I mean, and then I see all sorts of stuff about, like, people hating Mirai Nikki or Future Diaries for the guy who's not able to protect himself, even though if you look at his character, he has no reason because the girl's taking care of it, which is fucking sexist bullshit. Anyways, but, like, oh, if I was in that situation, I would I'd be looking out for myself, even if it meant killing other people. Yet if a girl does the same thing by just not being super nice to a guy she's just met, oh, she's a bitch who thinks all guys are rapists. We don't think all guys are rapists, but we don't know which ones are. We can't tell. If you had a bag of chips or a bowl of M&Ms or something, and 1/3 of them were poisoned with a deadly poison, and you couldn't tell the poisoned ones from the not poisoned ones, would you eat the whole bowl or take a random handful? No, because you have no idea. So we exert some caution. It doesn't mean we think all men are rapists. We just can't tell which ones are and which ones aren't. Okay? Okay. Just like with the stranger danger thing, alright? We don't think you're all rapists, but until we get to know you well enough, we're gonna be cautious because you might be. Thanks for watching.